Good morning, boys and girls. Today is our second lesson on our poetry unit, okay? And today our goal is to write a descriptive poem. But first, before we talk about what that is, I want to make sure you have some materials. So what you'll need is your paper from yesterday where you brainstormed your ideas. Remember, it had people, places, and things that are important to me, and you wrote down some ideas. Okay? And another thing that you're going to need today is some paper, and it can be any kind of paper. Mrs. Holman just has this lined paper laying around. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is to get some scissors, and I'm going to cut this paper into strips. And we're going to use this for our poem. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut it off into strips. And I happen to have lined paper. It's a little bit maybe easier to do. And I'm going to make about 5 strips. So I have 1. And it's okay. They don't have to be perfect. There's 2. There's 3, and then I'll just cut this one in half to make 5. Okay, so put those strips aside. We're going to use them in a little bit. You can put them right next to your paper that we did yesterday. Okay, so we've got our materials. The next thing I want to talk about is what this word descriptive means. Everybody say descriptive. Thank you. Okay, descriptive means to describe something. So when I describe something, I want to use my 5 senses, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about this. But remember, our 5 senses are what I see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, okay? So when I describe something, I use all of those senses. I'm going to show you something. Some of you have seen this, but my daughter made this little egg. So if I am going to use some descriptive words, I would say my daughter's egg is blue. It is in the shape of an oval. It has white bunny ears, a mouth that's kind of sideways, it's over on the side, and large eyes. If I'm talking about smell, kind of smells like an egg. It's not the best smell. It smells a little bit stinky. Okay, so those are describing words. So I want everybody to look at this poem that we have here. I'm going to use my little arrow here. This poem is called Mice. I think mice are rather nice. Their tails are long, their faces small. They haven't any chins at all. Their ears are pink, their teeth are white. They run about the house at night. They nibble things they shouldn't touch, and no one seems to like them much. But I think mice are nice. All right, so since you can see that up close, let's go ahead and read it together, and then we're going to talk about some of the describing words in that poem. Okay, let's read together. Ready? And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Mice. I think mice are rather nice. Their tails are long, their faces small. They haven't any chins at all. Their ears are pink, their teeth are white. They run about the house at night. They nibble things they shouldn't touch, and no one seems to like them much. but I think mice are nice. And if Mrs. Holman read that too fast or even too slow, go ahead, you can pause that video and read it on your own. So let's get back to describing words. So if I'm thinking about it, mice, and what do they say about mice? They're very nice, okay. Nice is a describing word. How did they describe their tails? Their tails are, did you say long? Go ahead and kiss your brain. Yes, long is another one of those describing words. How did they describe their faces? Their faces, small. Yes, very good. I also noticed that they describe their ears as pink and their teeth are white. Yes. So boys and girls, there are so many descriptive words. Those are also called adjectives that we can use in our poetry writing and in our normal everyday writing. So what we're going to do now is get to writing our poem today. So I'm going to show you first how I would write a descriptive poem, okay? And my poem today is going to be about ice cream, okay? So I'm going to take one of my strips of paper, and across that paper, in my neatest handwriting, of course, I am going to write ice cream. Okay, so now I know what we're going to describe. So ice cream, I do love. It's very delicious. I didn't put it on my chart here that we're going to use, but guess what? Cheese and ice cream, Mrs. Holman loves them both. So I'm going to go ahead and tape up, my ice cream onto my chart here. Okay, so now, yep, you can see that. Okay, so now I'm going to think about how that ice cream maybe feels. First of all, I know that ice cream is cold, so I want to add a little bit more. I don't want to just have one word, so I'm going to write the words very cold. So I described how cold it is. It's very cold because we know ice cream would just melt if it wasn't very cold. So now I wrote that on my another strip, and I'm going to go ahead and, this is Holman's tape. I'm going to go ahead and tape that right underneath my ice cream. So I have ice cream, very cold. Okay, now again, I want to think about how it maybe feels. I know I said it was cold. When I put ice cream in my mouth, I know it's very smooth a lot of times, especially like kind of the softer ice cream. So my next thing, I'm going to say how it feels, and it feels smooth. So I'm going to write that on my next strip. Feels smooth. And I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to say on my tongue because that's where it goes. In my mouth. On my tongue. Delicious. I wish I had some ice cream right now. All right. So on another strip of paper, I wrote my next part of my poem. I'm going to go ahead and tape that right up there. Okay, so now I want to think about maybe what happens once I have an ice cream cone, maybe especially on a hot day. What does it start to do? It starts to melt a little bit. Maybe it drips, and I'm thinking, well, it's near my mouth, so it drips on my chin. Mrs. Holman probably is making a mess by this point, especially if it's a hot day. It drips down my chin. All right, and so I wrote that on another strip. And remember, boys and girls, your poem can be longer, it could be shorter. All right, so Now, one more thing. What didn't I talk about? I didn't talk about the taste, which is the most important thing. Ice cream, and all I can think about is that word delicious. So I'm going to go ahead on my last sentence, or my strip here. Delicious. And I'm going to put an exclamation point at the end because that is true. Ice cream is delicious. Okay, so if I were to read my poem might sound like this. Ice cream, very cold, feels smooth on my tongue, drips down my chin, delicious. All right, boys and girls. So I wrote a poem about ice cream. Now what I want you to do is, with your materials that we already prepared, you can use your chart that we made from yesterday. You can pick one of those, or if you're thinking of something else you'd like to describe, go ahead and do that. And then do exactly what Mrs. Holman did. Write your topic, and on each piece of paper, write something different about your topic. Okay, I would love to see these. If your parents could take a picture, maybe on Class Dojo, I'd love to see some of your poems. So remember, when you're done, if you had prepared a folder, all of these can go inside your folder. So your paper from yesterday, your strips for your poem. I just have some extra strips, so I'm going to put those in my poetry folder. Okay, and that way you can organize your poetry, because we'll be writing a little bit more. Then you'll have a really nice folder of poetry. Tomorrow, boys and girls, we are going to learn how to add even more description to some of our poems. So I'm so excited for you to maybe share some of these with me. And I can't wait to see them. Have a great day.